Hey everyone, I'm here with Matt, creator of FroPro, a healthy and plant-based treat that is gaining a ton of popularity. So I want to hear your story.
Oh goodness. All right. Where do we start?
How did this get started and what is kind of like your message behind the brand?
Well, FroPro started, a lot of people in the community know my story, kind of where I came from, and kind of making a lot of poor decisions, getting to a place where I started over. This was kind of a hobby for me, something that I was doing for myself and kind of my clients and sharing the product. The real, I guess, it's a longer story than that, but in kind of coming to terms, we were sitting down, my wife and I were talking about, how do we give back, how do we work with the community. I really wasn't too vocal about my sobriety, I wasn't too vocal about recovery, even though we're in the recovery capital. And we sat down with an awesome woman, Kavita, and she kind of, was pulling ideas out of us. And we sat down in a room with like a whiteboard, and I taught for a long time. Chelsea was in education for a long time. Do we give back to kids and sports, or, obesity is a big thing. Like, we're just trying to figure out, and nothing really spoke to us.
Right.
And then when we started talking about it, Chelsea was like, well, tell Kavita your story, tell a little bit about yourself. And I was very hesitant because there can be a stereotype around that.
Right.
And people can look down upon it. Again, I really was concerned, I didn't really, want to come across or, put anybody in an uncomfortable space. But I told my story, what had happened through, the DUI, through everything, and kind of where I arrived. And she was like, well, that's it. And I was like, what do you mean that's it? She's like, that's who you are. That's the community that helped you get better. Those are the people that loved you, and as you said, loved you when you couldn't love yourself. And at first I was a little hesitant because I don't want to draw any type of attention other than the fact that it helps a lot of people, and there are positive stories that come out of recovery and sobriety and things like that. And it just kind of, the ideas started to flow on the board, and things that we're talking about, and just kind of getting it out there. And it was a little challenging at first, but that's kind of where we went. And then we figured out, we started to meet other organizations, and I did some research on other organizations that help people in recovery, whether it was men only, women only, co-ed, whatever it was. And I realized there was a lot out there. Mm-hmm. And that, with all the negativity surrounding, the overdose, like all the negativity that's out there, there was a way to kind of put a positive spin on it, and kind of share a comeback story and a second chance. So that's kind of how we moved in that direction.
So it started out as kind of a message behind the brand, and then you created the FroPro because of this.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was definitely the message that the only reason FroPro exists is because I was essentially starting over and, learning how to live over again. I was raised the right way, came from a really great family, but I kind of walked away from a lot of different things and kind of turned my back on a lot of different things. And it was through kind of doing things differently, doing things the right way, open, honest, willing. As I say, I'm just trying to do the next right thing and just continuously do the right thing in terms of clients, in terms of people, in terms of community. And, being vocal about that was something I learned along the way. And as I've shared before, I don't want to be inappropriate, but I told my story to somebody, and and he said in the nicest way after I shared my story, and I was so concerned, he was like, let me tell you something. He goes, no one really fucking cares. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, Matt, there's so many people with their own issues out there. If you can carry your message, if you can say what you need to say and help somebody, he's like, that's great. He goes, you can't care what other people think. You can't. It was
it's
one
true,
of those
yeah.
first times that I was offended because I was like, how no one talked to me that way. One of those deals. And he was saying it in a way that was like, everybody has their stuff. Everybody's going through something. We don't know what someone's going through if we don't ask, and we're not really acquainted with them, so we can't, a lot of judgment, a lot of other things. And he's like, I wouldn't have known that had I not known you and had you not taught my kids.
Wow. He
goes, I just thought you were Mr. Williams, the coach and teacher. He goes, I had no idea, and then all this stuff happened, and, that happened so long ago, and I, was talking to him several months later, and he goes, no one effing cares. He goes, and that in the nicest way possible. Mm-hmm. He goes, just, what are you going to do about it? What action are you going to take to change whatever you feel people think about you?
So you use that as motivation
100%.
To help get this started.
There was a lot of motivating factors for this kind of coming off the ground again. A lot of fear, a lot of things that I had created myself that weren't necessarily true, but I had to work through.
And you had no prior experience with creating a food product like this, did you?
Absolutely
No.
No.
So you kind of started off the ground. How did that begin? How did you gain the experience?
I was working, again, I always was taught value of work ethic, working hard, you know, like even when you're not doing what you may love, you have an opportunity. It was one of those things where I was fortunate enough to be working for a family friend. I had some extra time at work, being that the projects that I was working on weren't, you know, they'd be like, here, take a week to do this, you finish it, and they said, well, you know, help this person, you know, do some research on your own, do some other things, and that's kind of where I started messing around in the kitchen, at my home, at my house, and just kind of fooling around with the recipes, but also kind of reaching out to nutritionists and talking to people online. I mean, obviously, there's a ton of information out there, there's a ton of companies out there, and that's what I really did, was just kind of focus on, you know, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what questions to ask, and a lot of it was trial by error. I mean, the first couple times I made the bar, it wasn't good. It was very, like, it was too sweet, or it was, like, goopy. It was, like, rock hard where you couldn't bite into it. It would crumble. I mean, there's so many trials and test periods that I went through. And, again, now my wife, Chelsea, I mean, before she was like, I don't know what you're doing. It's like you make a mess in the kitchen, and, you know, it's like, what is this? And it's come a long way through a lot of people pushing and helping.
Yeah, and everyone loves it now. Did you originally want to make it a plant-based bar? Because it's vegan, soy-free.
Yeah, so no, not at all. I started with whey protein,
Okay.
Because that was a cheaper form of protein. Again, I was kind of starting over, so I didn't have a ton of money, and as you know, products like that are expensive, and the stuff to go into those products are expensive. So I started with a whey protein bar and was making it, and I thought it tasted good, and I was trying to sample it out, and then I started to learn there's a lot of people that couldn't digest dairy or had a struggle with something in the bar they weren't a fan of. And you know, one of these, this one girl, actually another friend of mine named Chelsea, said, if you want people to try it, try plant-based, because most people can digest plant-based materials. And I was like, okay. So I did a little research, not much, because again, I'm just trying to figure it out, and I found, you know, I tried a couple different plant-based proteins, and I brought them in, and I go, what do you think? And she's like, great. And she tried it, and amongst the other people, I didn't attach my name to anything, because I didn't want, again, I was super sensitive, I didn't want people to hurt my feelings, and I just, you know, fortunately when I was at Slash, when it started, they were able to put the product out there and said, oh, a friend of ours is starting a protein bar company, people try it, write down, and and it's funny, I found those old documents of people that are like, oh, I like this, I like that.
That's a great idea.
And it was so funny, we got feedback, and it was really positive. And then my other friend, Chelsea, she was like, well, I own this juice, or I manage this juice bar in Meisner, or Royal Palm, excuse me. Why don't you give me 100 and let me try and sell them?
So that was your first big
That was
wholesale.
my first, yeah, it was my first big 100 bars. I was making like 10 to 15 bars, maybe 20 at a time. I didn't know how to make 100. I was making them, putting them in a plastic baggie. I had no idea. They looked like brownies, you know, and you know, I just traveled with them, and I had to figure out how to wrap them, how to put a label on them, and we used, you know, we still have pictures of like the first label. It was like a computer paper. I took a Glad plastic wrap with like a sticky side, a non-sticky side, and just like folded it, figured out how to do 100, and brought him over, and she like called me like 3 days later and was like, so I sold out, I need another 100.
Wow.
And that was only the first flavor, which was cacao, with chocolate or whatever, and yeah, just kind of, that went from our account, a super big deal. Again, I wasn't driving at that time, and trying to get around and doing certain things were very challenging, but very motivating at the same time. So that went to, oh, you should talk to my friend, she owns this place, and that place would be like, oh, you should talk to my friend, he owns this place, and it was community. So it was, again, not all, it didn't happen like boom, 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 but there were times when I go meet with somebody that I didn't know, and you got to get to know people. And one of the biggest things is for me in terms of like how this has grown is get to know people, support them, ask them how we can help and be of service to their business or enhance their product, and just try to fit in. And if it fits, great, and if it doesn't, then you move on.
Right. So now you guys are on Whole Foods, 7-Eleven, a bunch of other places.
Yep.
So do you think this was because of being involved in the community that this happened?
I think 100%. I think you know, the Whole Foods was a relationship that we had been doing a bunch of online, like Instagram, Facebook, a couple different posts. We were at events. We were popping up anywhere we could pop up.
Awesome.
And again, every time you pop up, it costs money and product. And a lot of people are like, man, I don't want to do that. But we realized, like, how are people going to get to try the product? You know, like, if I'm asking you to buy something you've never tried it, why am I going to buy it?
Exactly.
So we had to give a lot away. And again, it's a ton of marketing. And we just popped up to a lot of places, and it caught the eye of somebody at Whole Foods who my wife knew from way back.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, hey, and emailed her, said, hey, you know, this is so-and-so, you know, what's your affiliation with FroPro? I keep seeing your name attached to it. She's like, oh, my husband created it. And this time, like,
Crazy.
Chelsea was just coming into working with FroPro, and it was more part-time, yeah, more than part-time at that time. And she said, yeah, my husband created it, you got to try it. She goes, oh, yeah, you should totally come to share it with my office. By the way, I work at Whole Foods Corporate in Fort Lauderdale. And
Oh my
we
gosh.
kind of looked at each other, we're like, oh, wow, you know. And it was really funny because we went in there, and like everybody's seen the show Shark Tank, and they've seen
Yeah.
other things, and we walked into a room and just kind of sat there, and that same thing, we're trying to explain the product, and people were trying it, and you couldn't read their face, and they just sat there like this, and
Yeah, intimidating.
it was very intimidating. And then Chelsea just looked at me, she's like, just tell them your story.
Yeah.
And in like 5 to 10 minutes I told them the story, and like you could see people's faces soften
Wow.
and like connect. And like one guy was like, the same thing, was like, that's it, because I love it. And we've come to find that a lot of people that we've met have had experience with a family, friend, loved one that has struggled in some way with, you know, alcohol, drug, mental illness, that is like, hey, like, this is great, and like, keep doing it, because, you know, we were fortunate. We've been fortunate ever, you know, again, since we've been open and honest and willing to share about it, like, thankfully, you know, we've connected with a lot of different people. We were able to work with a charity for the New York City Marathon, and work with like a big campaign which like got the story out
Wow.
there, and like this huge, it was great. It connected me with people I hadn't seen that knew who I kind of was and what I was doing, and making a lot of poor decisions. And people reached out and like, man, I remember you in high school and in college, and like, honestly, I can't believe you're still alive, and it's amazing, because they saw the commercial.
Yeah.
It was cool to connect with everybody again, and it was, you know, again, it's like, just keep putting in the effort, just keep doing, being open, honest, and willing, and, you know, sharing, you know, who you are. And that's the thing, like, people, there's a lot of great companies out there that are just, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, and, you know, if you're on board, awesome, and if you're not, that's okay too.
So through this, you created the FroPro Foundation.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So we were working with Runwell Charity, which raises money to help people with drug and alcohol treatment.
Okay.
And we're giving money to that. Last year we sponsored a runner at the New York City Marathon. This year we're sponsoring another runner. Our friend Mark did it last year. Our friend Laura is doing it
And
this
you're
year.
doing it, aren't you?
I did it.
You did it already,
I'm doing
okay.
a different race this year. So
Okay.
next month I'm going out to Vancouver to run a half marathon.
Awesome.
My full marathon days they're not over, but we took a break.
Okay.
It's a little tough.
Understandable.
It's a lot. It's a lot on the body.
Okay.
Yeah, and we just kind of realized, like, we have such a great community. We have so many people that are super supportive of us, and the things that we've, you know, the events that we've put on, and the charities, and we've worked with, you know, another one of my two buddies started essentially another foundation to help men in recovery, and men get and help them kind of get back on their feet through fitness and wellness. And then we're like, how do we not just pool what we're able to do here at FroPro, how can we bring the community together? And we had our first event on Saturday. I mean, we raised over the limit that we thought we were. We had a goal. We partnered with Lululemon, which is awesome. So having them here, we partnered, you know, it's the community. We had Lululemon here. We had Fleet Feet Sports helped man the race. We had My Pure Life Meals here came and passed out their meals, lifted coffee, donated 2 kegs of cold brew coffee for the hot morning. Patriot Nutrition, which is another company that donates to military, to the military for anybody that's worked through the military, and they have like a pre-workout powder.
That's amazing.
My Organic Juice, they came and passed out juice, 3 Native, so like all these local businesses, and even the gyms like Pit Fitness, Slash Fitness, Get Fit Academy, all these places literally donated. Even my friend that owned Papa's Raw Bar, like donated gift bags, donated swag, donated classes, donated, I mean, you name it, people came out and said, what do you need? And that to us is amazing, because like sometimes sometimes it feels like you overextend yourself, and you're like, I want to do all these races, I want to do all these things and support all these causes, and we do our best to do it and we fall short.
Right.
But the community came out, and in 2 hours we raised over $5,000.
That's amazing.
You know, we were blown away. You know, we had Sal Vecchio, the DJ here, literally a guy that gets paid a ton of money to do weddings and everything, showed up for 2 hours, played music for free. Like, people just came out, and it was pretty awesome, pretty special.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the most important message to people that are either overcoming an addiction or trying to get started on a health and fitness journey?
I would say never give up, and that you deserve the second chance, and like let yourself do it. Because I beat myself up. I still do. I think a lot of us do. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think so too.
And I was very hard on myself, so I almost at one point felt I didn't deserve it. And sometimes I sit back and I'm like, do I really deserve this? And you know, I think when you're starting over, it seems very, very challenging. At least it was for me, sitting there and looking at people with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of sobriety, that you're like, I'm never gonna get there at all. Like, it's just like, I was without a car, I was without a license, I had ruined the job that I thought I was meant to do the rest of my life. You know, I had the girl that was like hanging on by dear life and supporting me, and just like my family that was supporting me from afar back up north, and I had all these things that like I was very grateful for, but there's like that one thought of like, I blew it, I lost everything, I have no money, I could go down the list of being completely poor me, but it doesn't serve any purpose. And like, I really learned a lot about like gratitude and what are the things you can be grateful for. I woke up today, I'm breathing today, I thank God that I'm alive today, I can run today, like the things that like we take for granted, like I have 2 working eyes today, I can talk, you know, like yeah. the basics.
The little things, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds so corny and people are like, oh, that's the dumbest thing ever, but at that time for me it was the most important, because all the other things that I put on a pedestal I had completely lost because of my own actions. So I think when you're starting out, it can be very easy to be like, oh, man, I'm such a loser, and I used to tell myself that. I honestly would be like, but no one else was telling me that but me. You know, like I was alive, I wasn't in jail, I hadn't killed anybody, I wasn't going, you know, like there were some things I was facing that could have made life a lot more difficult. But you know, you take it, as they say, I'm sure you've heard it, you take it one day at a time. Yeah. That's all we get. What are you going to do today? And people that said no one effing cares, like, right. What are you going to do about it? And taking, you know, all the motivational people say, take massive action.
Yes.
If you take massive action, something will happen. It could take a while, it may not be on your terms, but if you take massive action, things change, things get better, things may not, but at least you know that you're doing the best you can, and you're taking action, and if it doesn't work out, okay, what else can I do? What other way can I go?
Right. Well, it's amazing not only getting over that mental struggle, but creating a business out of it. Not everyone can do that. So what is the future of FroPro? Do you see yourself creating other items to go with it, or kind of just expanding on the community with events and with, you know, new flavors and things like that?
Well, I think that's a great question. So there's a lot. I always tell people we have a long way to go, and we do.
Well, you're still thinking about things,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
There's a lot that we'd like to do. With obviously being blessed to have this place, we just opened right here in Central Boca on Clintmore. Having this place and just kind of coming into our own, we opened April 2nd. It's great to be in one location where people can stop by, people can be a part of it.
Yes.
And this first event, again, like we know it may not happen all the time like that, but having an event, having people show up, having people come out, we'd love to keep doing that. We'd love to keep supporting other people in their endeavors and their businesses. And I think how do I say this? There will be other products, down the line, more flavors, of course, because obviously we want to keep the flavors awesome,
right.
And mix those up. But yeah, I think there'll be some more products down the line. We've kind of messed with some other things, but like anything, like we're really good at snack bars. Yeah,
I know.
And like I feel really comfortable saying that now because like I feel like we know how to make a tasty snack bar. It's good for you. It's, you know, people like what's behind it, and it's, you know, sometimes if in my own experience, if I overextend myself, I don't do it 100%.
I understand that.
So I want to make sure that we really have this down and really able to share it, because we're expanding in Florida, and we've been very fortunate to continue to work with Whole Foods and continue with other local accounts. And as we continue to expand in Florida, I think one of our biggest things is taking the foundation and carrying that outside.
Yes.
And I'm from New York, and we have a lot of people that are like, oh, this would be great here, here, here.
Wow.
And eventually just being able to share it. I mean, the goal would be nationwide. I mean, I want to say global, that's pretty
you could do it.
It's pretty expansive.
You could do it.
But yeah, no, I think sharing the experience, kind of having that positive message behind it, sharing the story, you know, and again, sometimes it's so redundant, and I feel like we're always saying it, but it's true. Like you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing this right at the beginning when I was like, this is so effing stupid. I'm never going to be there, but it took time. There's highs, there's lows. Not every day is going to be perfect. There's going to be days where you want to bang your head against the wall, give up. I mean, there's days where I'm like, even the best day, I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go home. I want to lay down and just like literally crawl under bed and cry. And it has nothing to do with like the fact that like we have an amazing opportunity every day, and an amazing opportunity to share and be young and be fit and be healthy and be inspirational and be motivational. And you know, like as with this community and disease that afflicts a lot of people throughout the country, obviously this community is being one of them. It's, you know, a lot of people aren't around anymore that were once around,
yes,
which is very sad. You know, and sometimes I feel like it's a numbing, and I'm numb to it, but it's, you know, tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Right.
And again, those corny things is what you do today and what you're willing to do today that makes the world a difference.
Right. Well, I think FroPro is already on the track to being remembered by something motivating and inspiring as that, and your story is very, very motivating for everyone. So
I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing it. And where can they find you on social media?
You can find us at GoFroPro on Instagram. My personal page, MWAR, M-W-A-R Williams, W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S. On Facebook, FroPro. We are the United States FroPro. There's some confusion sometimes. So if you ever tag us, it's GoFroPro, G-O-F-R-O-P-R-O on Instagram. So find us. I hope you enjoy. I really appreciate you wanting to help us out, of course. Yeah, community, people helping people. Yeah, if you have any questions, you'll either get myself if you reach out, or my wife Chelsea. And yeah, hope that helps.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Awesome.